First of all, I would like to thank Rabbi Vaknin. He has a way of making a person feel very, very special. His words, I was actually thinking today, what about Rabbi Vaknin? What's his magic? He has like a magic to him. And I felt that he mentioned since the first time I met him, which was a few years ago already, I felt that he doesn't have arms, legs. All he has is a heart. He's one huge heart. Rabbi Vaknin, from head to toe, in Hebrew we say kulo lev, which means his whole entity, his whole essence is one huge heart. It's someone with a smile, with just love. Everything that's supposed to be good in the heart, he has that in his whole essence. And he knows how to make people feel very, very special. And that's because he's a special person and he sees the good in everyone else. And for me to be invited here, for him to ask me to speak to everyone here, it's truly an honor. And not only an honor, it's a pleasure. Because I know that whoever comes to listen to him is quality people. Because he's a quality person and he gives over quality Torah and quality advice. So for me to share some divrei Torah, some chizuk with everyone here, it's truly an honor and it's a pleasure, and I hope that we all grow together. This is not me speaking to anyone. This is all of us hopefully growing together, especially a few days before Rosh Hashanah. Such important days that Be'ezrat Hashem, we have this zchut to be here tonight and to share divrei Torah with each other. So thank you, and thank you everyone for coming. In this world, everyone has a profession. Some people deal with sports, some people deal with law, some people deal with medicine, some people deal with business. If you would ask how many people are combat fighters, whether they're in the army, whether they're boxers, wrestlers, UFC, how many people are in the combat fighting business or industry? Very few. But the truth is that that's a mistake. Every single person is a combat fighter. Every single Jew is living in a boxing ring all year round. Because every single Jew wakes up in the morning and he has nisyonot. He has tests. He has what Hashem expects him, what he really wants to do. And then he has this annoying Yetzer Hara that comes and whispers in his ear and tells him, what are you, crazy? You're going to do what Hashem wants. You're going to do what you really want. You don't even know what you want. Come do this. Come over here. Come look at this. Come talk this. Come do these other actions. And there's constantly this fight between, however you want to call it, the angel on the right, the angel on the left, the conscience, whatever's in your heart, and this other malach, this Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. And there's constantly this fight. And every second, when we wake up, we're waking up not into an earth that's round. We're waking up into a boxing ring. And we have to put on our gloves or take them off and start fighting. From the moment we wake up, we're in a constant battle. The unfortunate part is that most people don't feel like they're in a battle. They feel like they're coasting through life. Okay, they do good, they do bad, they don't feel the fight. But when this time of year comes around, Chodesh Elul, a few days before Rosh Hashanah, every Jew starts to feel, you know what, I really should do better. The end of the year is coming, Rosh Hashanah is here, Hashem is going to judge me. What did I do this year? What's going to happen with me next year? The world is upside down, no one knows anything. So you know what? I got to do better. I got to improve. I got to do tshuva. I got to do maasim tovim. And then a person starts to feel more and more that he's in this battle. He's in this fight because he wants to do good. And he learns Torah and he reads and everything. And what happens? It doesn't go always so smoothly. The Yetzer Hara comes And he says, what, you think you're going to just get off the hook like that? I have you in my hold. And he starts fighting the person. And a person starts seeing that there's this inner fight within him, and it's not always easy to win. And that's really the life of a person. From the day he wakes up, in the morning, from the time he wakes up till the time he goes to bed, his whole life, it's always a fight. Life is a test, life is a fight. But hopefully now we're feeling more this fight because we want to do good, and it's not always so easy. So what are we supposed to do? So really the Gemara talks about this. The Gemara says, Le'olam yargiz adam yetzer hatov al yetzer hara. What does that mean? That a person who now wants to do good, and the yetzer hara comes to him and says, no, you're not going to go to shiur, you're not going to do a mitzvah, you're not going to do the right thing, come with me somewhere else. Let's go hang out with other people that are not doing the right thing. Only one time, he comes and he starts fighting with you. How does a Jew act? How does the Jew respond to this? Does he just lay down and become a speed bump? Does he just lay down and become a doormat and let the yetzer hara stomp on him and let him do whatever he wants? No. Chachamim say a person has to fight. He has to get in the ring. He can't cower away. And he has to fight the yetzer hara with all his might. And everyone has power. Everyone can. And he should try to beat him. Go for the knockout. The problem is that the yetzer hara is not an easy opponent. He's not some 5'1" little, skinny dweeb that we could just knock out easily. He's a huge guy. He's a mountain. So to go for the knockout, we're not always successful to get the knockout. Okay, so what do we do now? A person tries, he fights, he doesn't give in easily. He says to the yetzer hara, no, I'm going to do the right thing. And there's this inner fight, but at the end he feels like, I don't have power. I'm not going to be able to do it. So what do we do then? So if we don't have enough power within ourselves, Chachamim say like this. If you beat him, very good. You have enough power, you go, you fight, very nice. What if you don't? The Gemara says, Yasok b'Torah. Go learn Torah. Go to shiur, open up a book, musar, some chizuk, something inspiring. Go to the rabbi's class. He's going to give you inspiration. And all of a sudden you're going to get this boost of, oh, you know what, I want to do good. And it gives you energy and it reignites your fire. And maybe that's going to help you. That's going to boost your energy to go and back in the match in round 2 and knock him out again. Okay, that's a good piece of advice. But that happens many times, that we go to the shiur and maybe it wears off, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And we still get back into the match and we feel like I still can't do it. I can't beat him. So what am I going to do now? So the Gemara says, if you beat him with the Torah you learned, good. But what if you don't? What if you don't have the power? What should you do now? What's the next thing you should do? The Gemara says there's another thing to do. Read Kriyat Shema. That's what the Gemara says. The phrase of Kriyat Shema has a lot of deep connection with every Jew. Before a Jew is, when a Jew is in a time of danger, what does he say? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That's the pasuk that almost every single Jew, whether he's religious, not religious, far, he went to yeshiva, doesn't. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That pasuk means something to the Jewish soul, and it can give him a boost of energy. And maybe if you say Shema, you'll be able to muster up some more strength and beat the yetzer hara. So that's the next piece of advice Chachamim give. Okay, but what happens if you try that too and it doesn't work? And this yetzer hara is not giving up. And he's coming at you full force and you feel you're going to be finished. What are you going to do? You're going to lay down? The Gemara says there's one last resort, one last piece of advice that the great Chachamim of the Gemara give us. And what's the last piece of advice? The Gemara says these words. Izkor lo yom hamita. A person should remember the day of death. Everyone's mortal. We're not going to live forever. Everyone's time here is limited. People don't know. A person can live till 120 years and people can live shorter. So if a person feels so heated to do something asur, to do an avirah, to sin, what's going to cool him down? What's going to be that ice, that water that just comes on you and you're like, oh wait, okay, I'm calmed down now. I cooled down. I'm back to my senses. When a person's heated, it's very hard to get back to his senses. Chachamim say, think about the day of death. Think about the fact that we're mortal and we're not going to live here forever. And there's an olam haba and it's just not worth it. You're going to throw away your whole olam haba for 1 second. You're not going to be here forever. Who knows what's going to be tomorrow? The world is crazy. So maybe that'll cool a person down. Okay. Maybe. But one thing bothered me when I learned this Gemara. One word. The word is, again, what Chachamim say is, izkor, which means to remember. Lo. What does the word lo mean? It has two meanings. It's either lo means no, or lo means him. So the Gemara is saying, izkor lo yom hamitah. Remind him of the day of death. And to me, that's not the way you speak. If I'm speaking to you and I want to give you an advice, a piece of advice, what am I going to tell you? Remember the day of death. Not remind him the day of death. Who am I talking to? I'm addressing you. So I should say, remember the day of death. Chachamim are addressing the person. Why are they telling us, Yizkor lo yom hamitah? That's what bothered me. And I think from here we see the beauty of Chachamim. We don't know how wise they were. With one word, they can tell us a whole story. We know that we have the Amidah. The main part of Tefillah is the Amidah. 18 brachot, 19 brachot that we say standing face to face with Hashem. We're talking directly to Hashem. And one bracha that may be overlooked, because it doesn't really talk to us so much, is the bracha of Teka b'shofar gadol lecherutenu. That's what we say every day, 3 times a day. Whoever prays Amidah 3 times a day, that's the bracha. Now what does it mean? We're talking to Hashem and we're telling him, Teka, what does Teka mean? Litkoa, blow. What is he going to blow? B'shofar. Blow a shofar, we're telling Hashem. What kind of shofar do we want Hashem to blow? Shofar gadol. What is gadol? A big shofar. Why? Lecherutenu. What does that mean? To free us, for our freedom. Have we ever thought about what we're saying here to Hashem? We're talking to Hashem. We usually don't think about what we're saying. But here we're telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, please blow a shofar gadol, a huge shofar, so I could be free. That's what we say. And we should think, first of all, what is this shofar gadol? When is this going to happen? Maybe when Mashiach comes, there's going to be some shofar. What, Hashem is going to descend from the heavens, and he's going to come down with this huge shofar, like the Empire State Building, and he's going to blow it, and then what? We're going to be free? What is this? So really, I think this is one of the most beautiful brachot that we have in Amidah. And it's unfortunate because no one knows what it means. When Hashem created the world in 6 days, he left Adam HaRishon, man and women, he left human beings for the last day. The last thing he created was man and his wife, Chava. And when Hashem created man, it was a very interesting process. First, what did he do? He created the body of Adam HaRishon. He went, he took earth and he took water, whatever he did, physical aspects to his body, his physical body from the dust, from the earth, and he formed a human being. And that human being was laying on the floor. Was he alive yet? He was not alive yet. He wasn't moving, he wasn't talking, he wasn't breathing. It was just a physical shell, a body. And then Hashem says, okay, he's not alive. The body, that's not really the person. What am I going to need to do to give him life? Neshama. A Jew, a human being, is comprised of a physical body, but that's not what's going to be eternal. That's not going to last forever. That unfortunately goes back to the dust. So Adam was sitting in front of him, laying in front of him as a dead body. Everything was there, except one thing, his neshama. And that's why he wasn't alive yet, because the neshama is the real person. That's what gives a person life. And then the Torah says specifically how Hashem gave him the neshama. The pasuk says, "Veipach be'apav nishmat chayim." What does that mean? Hashem blew into Adam HaRishon's nose, into his nostrils, a breath, a blow of life. He blew into him this neshama. Now, it doesn't say he gave it to him. Ve'iten lo nishmat chayim. The word the Torah uses is veipach. In Hebrew, the word is neficha. Now, it's a very interesting depiction. Hashem blew into Adam HaRishon this neshama through his nose. The Torah goes to very great detail here to explain to us how the neshama was given to man. And the question is why? Just say he gave it to him. What do we need to know? He blew it into his nose. What? Who cares how he gave it to him? But here is a tremendous, tremendous lesson. I've been talking for a few minutes, right? I'm not out of breath. I could have a conversation with a person for 10 hours straight sometimes. We could talk and talk and talk. How come I could talk a lot? I'm using my breath, right? I'm using air, but I could still keep going. But if you would give me a balloon here and tell me, okay, there's 10 balloons on the table. They're this big. Start blowing into the balloon. Blow into 10 balloons. How many balloons am I going to be able to blow into? 1. Let's say I really have a lot of strength. 2. Let's say 3. I can't just keep blowing into a balloon nonstop like I talk. What's the difference? When I talk, all I'm doing is breathing. I'm taking in air in and out, but it's not coming from inside me. There's nothing like that when I talk. It's just outside. When I blow into a balloon, what happens? I gotta go inside. I have to go and then blow. When you take from inside and you give that out, there's a limit to how much you could take out. How come? Because something inside you, not physical, you're not losing any part of your limbs or your body, but something inside you is coming out. So when I have the balloon here, the air that's in that balloon came from inside me. Now, I'm not lacking anything. That came from inside me. So that's why I can't just keep blowing a balloon one after the other. It tires me out. Hashem says, when I gave a neshama over to a Jew, I didn't breathe it into him because the breathing, the talking, doesn't come from inside. I blew it into him like a person blowing a balloon. Adam HaRishon was like this balloon, this physical body that needed to be immersed. Hashem had to put into him a neshama. He blew it into him. So it took Kivyachol Hashem's insides to go and put that into Adam HaRishon. And what does that represent to us? It represents to us what the neshama really is. What is this neshama that Hashem gave Adam HaRishon and that every one of us has? It's a piece of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We heard this concept. The neshama is a chelek Eloah mimal, a piece of Hashem from above. Now, a person can ask, what does that mean? Hashem was split up into thousands and millions of pieces and he gave himself out to every Jew to have a piece of him? No. Just like I can blow into a balloon, nothing of me is lost. But part of me, something that came from within me, is in that balloon. It's the same thing with Hashem. He's one. Nothing is missing from him. But something from inside of him, a piece of him, Kivyachol, he gave into a Jew. And that's the Jew's neshama. That's what's called the chelek Eloah mimal. Okay, so this was very important to tell us that Hashem blew that air, that neshama into Adam HaRishon. Because the neshama is really the person. So we have to know who we are. A person looks in the mirror in the morning and he sees a body. This is who I am. Do I look good? Do I not look good? Am I tall? He doesn't even know he's not looking at his true self. He's really a neshama. That body is going to be buried one day. It ages. It looks different over the years. A person can lose a limb, chas v'shalom. He's still the same person. The body is not us. What's us is this neshama that we can't see, we can't feel, we can't touch, but it is us. We could really touch it. We could feel it spiritually. And what is the nature of that neshama? It's a part of Hashem. Now, what does that mean? These are all high, esoteric, spiritual things. But let's bring it down to practicality. What it means for us is a very simple thing. If a person sins, it's a horrible thing. But does he actually affect God? Is God now any less because he sinned? God is perfect. God never changes. Nothing we could do could alter God. Nothing we could do could defile him. Nothing we could do could taint him. He's always going to be perfect. He's always going to be holy. Nothing can change it. So now let's apply that to that little portion that we got, that we were given. If Hashem can never be tainted, defiled, ruined, nothing can do it. He's always pure and 100% complete. That little portion of us that's within us, that's also Hashem. And therefore, what if we sin? What if we do bad? What if we do things we shouldn't be doing? A person could think, oh, you know what? So I just defiled my whole self. I became tameh. I'm tainted. I'm bad. But the truth is that that's not true. The truth is that there's a part within every Jewish person, that neshama, that portion of him, that no matter what he does, good, bad, horrible, that portion always stays pure. That portion always stays kadosh. It never gets defiled. It never gets tainted. Nothing happens to it. It stays pristine as it is, just like Hashem is. Oh, this is a game changer. Why? Because if that's who we really are, and we have a part within our heart, that part that's in our heart, that always stays pure, that's good news. Because what happens if a person does bad? Maybe he's lost. Maybe he's totally burnt to a crisp, like a burnt match that can never be reignited. No. No Jew is a burnt match. He always has that pilot on. That fire is always kindling within his heart. Now the problem is that anyone who cooks knows there's a little pilot that's very, very small. You can't really cook anything on that. What do you have to do? You have to higher the temperature. You have to higher the flame. And then when the flame is big, you can start cooking a whole meal. So when a person sins, he never extinguishes the flame. It's always there. But what happens to it? It dies down. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And sometimes it gets so small till it's minimum. But beyond that, it can never get smaller. It can never be put out. So it's maybe that small, but never smaller. It's always going to be there. The problem is, how useful is it? You can't do anything with something that's so small. You got to make it large. You got to ignite the fire again. And that's really what happens over here. The Sfarim say that little tiny portion within us, no matter what we are doing, how bad we are, it's in our heart. The heart of a Jewish person. The lev. Obviously, this is all spiritual, right? It's in our heart. How big should that flame be? It should take up the whole heart. It should encompass the entire heart of a Jew. The problem is we sin. We do things that we shouldn't be doing. And what do? We make the flame smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So now, if we would look in a spiritual x-ray, right? We have the heart, and it was supposed to be full of this fire, this neshama, but we made it smaller and smaller and smaller. So now what do we have in the heart? A huge heart, and we have a little tiny piece that's this holy neshama. And what happens to the rest of the heart? It becomes hollow. It was supposed to be filled with Hashem, but it's hollow. We hollowed it out. The problem is that there's never a vacuum. Every time there's going to be an empty space, someone's got to move in there. Someone has to take up the vacuum. Guess who moves into our heart? The Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara lives in our heart. The Gemara says, where does the Yetzer Hara live in a person? In his heart. So the smaller the flame, the more room he has to live there. Okay. And that's a problem. You know why it's a problem? Because whenever he goes to live there, he closes the door, he locks it, he seals all the windows, and he makes sure no one's going to come into this heart and reach that flame. Because if they reach that flame and they ignite it, I'm gone. It's like a storage house. Within this storage house, there's a treasure box with gold. It's there. It will always be there. The problem is that you got to access the storage house. You have to break in somehow. And the Yetzer Hara, he bolts it shut. He welds the door shut. He boards up the windows. And he makes sure we can't access it. But it's always there. And that's our job. So now, we're lucky. The reason we're lucky is because we have this little piece that's always there. That piece, where did it come from? Hashem. So it's always connected to Hashem. Guess what's going to happen one day? Hopefully soon. Hashem, he has the ability to break through that warehouse. He has the ability to do whatever he wants. And guess what he's going to do one day? He's going to come and he's going to wake up the heart of a Jew. How is that going to be done? That's what we said, that he's going to blow a shofar. What happens to everyone when they hear the shofar? In Rosh Hashanah, in a few days, we're going to hear the shofar. Do we start cracking up? Why don't we start laughing? What happens? What's the feeling when we hear the shofar?
Neshama's waking up.
Oh, we feel something special. It's not like a trumpet. Like if we would go to an orchestra or let's say a club or like what's it called, a band, right? And we hear now music. That's not going to wake up our neshama. That's good for our ears. But something with this shofar goes inside here, and it wakes up a Jew. Maybe for a second, but it wakes him up. La'atid lavo. Whenever Hashem is going to decide in the future, when it's time to bring the Geulah and to redeem all the Jewish people, Hashem is going to come and he's going to blow what? Shofar gadol. Right?
Midnight shofar.
What is this shofar gadol? Shofar means he's going to wake us up. I don't know if it's going to be a physical shofar. He might just do something to wake up every Jew in his heart. Whatever he's going to do. But it's called a shofar because that wakes us up. But it's called gadol. You know why it's called gadol? What did we say in the beginning? That every Jew has that thing in his heart, right? Most of us, is it big or small? It's small. What do we need to do with it? We have to make it big. We have to expand it. And guess what happens when it expands? You ever saw like a person stuck in this like room and the walls close in little by little and he has no room? And eventually what happens if it closes in? He's going to die, right? This is what's going to happen in the future. Hashem is going to wake up a Jew, his heart, and all of a sudden that tiny piece is going to start expanding and becoming big. And all of a sudden, his heart will be filled with more and more and more Kedusha, and that Neshama will expand. And who's living there? The Yetzer Hara. And all of a sudden, he's going to be like, wait, why is the walls closing in over here? What's happening over here? I don't have any room. I was living comfortably. And now this warehouse, this treasure chest is taking up more room and more room and more room. I have nowhere to go. And eventually, he gets squashed and he dies. What does it mean he dies? It means that he has no more power over a Jew because a Jew's entire essence will be filled with Hashem, will be filled with his neshama, with Kedusha. It will permeate his whole being. And the Yetzer Hara will have zero power over him. And this is what we're saying every day to Hashem. We ask him, Hashem, please, in my heart, 99% of it, the Yetzer Hara lives there. It's hollow air. He's living there. He's sitting there. He's eating there. He's doing everything he wants there all day long. But I have this little piece in there that's so tiny. And you know what I want you to do, Hashem? I want you to wake me up. Give me this shofar, a wake-up call that will make that little piece big. Make it expand. Let my heart feel a little bit more of you. Come into my life. I want to feel you. I don't want to just pray and say words. I want to feel you in my life. Have a connection with you. Expand that little piece. And then what? Cherutenu. It will bring my freedom from who? From this Yetzer Hara that doesn't leave me alone. From the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep, and all he wants to do is give me hard tests and problems and nisyonot and averot. I don't want him anymore. Let me be free from his shackles. Get him away from me. But I need you to wake me up. And really, this thing that we say to Hashem, Tikah b'shofar gadol lecherutenu, it's a pasuk in the Navi. What does the whole pasuk say? The pasuk says, Vaya bayom ahu, and it will be in that day, sometime in the future, probably when Mashiach is going to come. Itakah b'shofar gadol, Hashem will blast the shofar gadol. And what's going to happen? That's the time of Geulah. Now, what happens when there's Geulah? All the Jews are going to go where? They're going to stay outside? They're going to come back, right? Look what the pasuk says. Itakah b'shofar gadol, and then what's going to happen? V'bau ha'ovdim be'eretz Ashur, and the lost ones from the land of Ashur, somewhere far away, they're lost. They're going to come. They're going to hear the shofar gadol. They're going to come. V'anidachim mi'eretz Mitzrayim, and those people who are stuck in Mitzrayim, they're also going to come. What is it trying to say? That when Hashem is going to blow that shofar gadol, all the Jews are going to come back home. That's what it means. But it's interesting, these two types of people, ha'ovdim me'eretz Ashur and hanidachim me'eretz Mitzrayim. What does that mean? Rav Tzadok HaKohen, he says like this, ha'ovdim, in Hebrew, how do you say something is lost? Avud, ne'evadli, it means it's lost. There are Jews that are lost. What does it mean they're lost? It means they don't even know they're Jewish. Their grandmothers, who knows what, they came, they grew up with Goyim, they have no idea that they're actually Jewish. What's going to be with those Jews? They are Jews. Are they going to be lost forever? They're lost now. Guess what the Navi says? Those avudim, they're lost. They don't even know they're Jewish. When Hashem blasts that shofar, you think it's going to matter if they know, they don't know, they sinned, they don't believe in God. The Jewish heart is going to wake up and it's going to expand, and they're not even going to know what hit them, but all of a sudden they're going to get reborn spiritually and they're going to come back to Hashem. They're going to do tshuva. No Jew will be lost. Those are the lost people. They're going to come back. And who else is going to come back? Hanidachim me'eretz Mitzrayim. Now we know, we have a long history with Egypt. We were slaves there for 210 years. What is so special about Egypt? What does Egypt represent spiritually? It's a good place? It's not a good place. Egypt represents desires. Worldly desires. Ta'avot. Worldly, animalistic, bad desires. Says Rabbi Tzadok, there are some Jews, they're so engulfed in this world. They're so drowning in the desires of this world. You speak to them and all they think about is this and that and pleasures in this world. And you talk to them and you try to tell them something about Torah and Olam Haba and spirituality, but they're drowning in quicksand of the pleasures of this world. And sometimes when someone's in quicksand, he physically can't get up. It's not that he doesn't even want to. He just can't. There are some people that are so engulfed in this world that right now they can't move. But guess what's going to happen when Hashem is going to blow that shofar spiritually and blow up their heart? They're going to come back to. They're going to break free and they're going to come back to Hashem. That's what's going to happen in the Geulah. It's not just that every Jew will get on a plane. Every Jew, doesn't matter how far he is, how lost he is, and how low he is, Hashem will wake up his heart and he's going to come back and he's going to do tshuva. I want to go back to what I said. We said in the beginning, we quoted a Gemara. A person should fight the Yetzer Hara. A person has a bout with his Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara says, come, do this, it's not allowed. Oh, I don't want to do it. You're having this inner fight with your mind. So what did Chachamim say? Fight, don't lay down. Go, put on your gloves, beat him, try to go for the knockout. Okay, let's say the guy couldn't do it. He didn't beat the Yetzer Hara. So we had another piece of advice for the guy. What was the piece of advice? Go to shiur. Go listen to some Torah, ignite yourself, get a boost, charge your battery, get some life flowing into your body, and now maybe you'll beat him. But we said that doesn't always work. Now what? You tried again and you couldn't beat him. Say Kriyat Shema. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu. Maybe that's going to give you some power. But that also didn't work. My question is very simple. Why is nothing working for this person? He tried to fight himself. He lost. He learned Torah. The guy went to Shiur. Torah is fire up. Why didn't it work for him? Doesn't Torah work? Doesn't Torah do something spiritual to give someone some power? Why didn't it work for the guy? What about Kriyat Shema? It's so important. People, they jump on grenades and they say Shema Yisrael. It's such an uplifting thing. Why is there a person that cannot fight and the Torah doesn't help him and Kriyat Shema doesn't help it? Nothing helps the guy to beat the Yetzer Hara. Why? What's wrong with the person? The answer is he gave up. There are people who look in the mirror, they look at their situation, and they think, I have no hope. I tried so many times, I failed. I'm so into it already. I can't change my ways. I have my natures. I can't change my habits. I gave, how many Rosh Hashanah came and I said I'm going to do better and I didn't do it. And the person comes to one understanding, one belief. I can't do it. I don't have the power to do it. I'm stuck in place. I'm in the quicksand and I can't get up, and don't tell me I could. Oh, fight, I can't fight. Torah, it's not going to help me. When a person gives up hope, nothing can help him. Not fight, not Torah, not Kriyat Shema. He's toast. There's only one thing that can help him. If the fact is that he lost hope and that's what's killing him, what do we need to do with him? We got to give him hope. We got to show him that he could do it. We got to change that warped, wrong mindset that he gave up his whole strength because he thought he knew who he was. He thought he knew what a Jew is. He thought he looked in the mirror and said, oh, this is what I see. This is what I am. You know nothing about yourself. You know nothing. You never used 1% of your power. You never used 1% of your abilities because you just gave up too early, too quickly. You didn't know how to fight. No one guided you in the right direction. But you came to the wrong understanding and conclusion that you can't do it? Who said? I hate people, not people. I hate when I hear I can't. It's a horrible thing to say. So this guy comes to the conclusion, I can't, finished. If you think that, you just sucked all the life out of you and you really can't. Now we got to bring that back. We got to infuse you with some hope and ability and some proper mindset. And you know what we tell the guy? Why do you think you can't? Because you think you're so low and you did so many sins and you've done them for so long that you can't change anymore? What do we tell him? Iskor lo yom hamita. Remind him of the day of death. Who are we reminding of the day of death? We tell the guy, are you nuts? You think you're never going to be able to change? One day, Hashem is going to wake up a Jew. Every Jew. And guess what? His whole experience is going to change. His heart is going to blow up. He's going to become a tzaddik. And he's going to go and do tshuva and he's going to change. And guess what's going to die? That Yetzer Hara that was so strong. He had him like this his whole life. In one moment, he's going to get crushed. And he's going to die. We tell the person, remember, this Yetzer Hara that you think he's so strong and he has you in his hold, he's going to die one day. He's nothing. You can beat him. If those people who don't even know they're Jewish, they never did one mitzvah in their life, they're going to have power to come back. And the people who are in the quicksand till above their head and they're gone, they're going to come back. You can't? You can't move the needle a drop? You can't take one step? You can't find some power within you to take one step to Hashem? Just pick up your hand. He'll come and grab you. The whole idea of tshuva, you stretch out your hand, Hashem's there. You don't have to know how to swim. You don't have to know anything. You just got to stretch your hand out. But some people give up so much hope that even to stretch a hand, they don't have the power to do it. And we have to infuse them with strength. We have to infuse them with inspiration to tell them that they could change. Doesn't matter what their past is. Life is in the front windshield. It's not in the rear view mirror. Everyone looks at life backwards. What happened yesterday? That means it's going to happen today. What happened last week? That means it's going to happen next week. People live in the past and they die in the present. That's life for 95% of people. And that's what Rosh Hashanah teaches us. We're going to go into Rosh Hashanah this year, in a few days. Are we going to be hearing that shofar gadol? I don't know. But we have a different shofar, the little shofar, the mini shofar, that Hashem says, don't ever give up hope. I'm going to give you a shofar even now, before the Geulah comes, before Mashiach comes. You'll have a shofar every year. And just like everyone who said before, right, you feel something special in the heart. Shofar. We have an ability every year on Rosh Hashanah to connect to that wake-up call, to connect to Hashem during the shofar, and to allow that little light to get a little bigger, a little bigger. And you know what it depends on? What we do before Rosh Hashanah. A person can't wake up the day of Rosh Hashanah and expect to roll into Rosh Hashanah, and then the shofar is just going to blow him out of this world and he's going to change. You need to do your part. You need to prepare yourself. You need to pray. You need to ask Hashem. You need to do something to prepare yourself to accept that gift. And that's really our avodah now of Chodesh Elul. And our avodah now, we're holding by a little bit over a week and a day or two before Rosh Hashanah. If a person preps himself, prepares himself, puts him into a little bit of a more spiritual mindset, even if he doesn't know how, he tells Hashem, Hashem, I heard something in the shiur. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing it. You solve the problem. You help me. Find me a way. When Hashem hears those words from his child, who doesn't really know how to do it, guess what the father does at that point? Guess what the mother does at that point? They're going to come and save you. They're going to come in and say, I got it. But the problem is that no one asks. Then the father doesn't come in. If you don't ask, you don't get. Hashem wants us to ask. So that's what I think is a very, very important, life-changing outlook on life. Everyone could change. It doesn't matter what our past is. The saddest thing to me is when a person could do and he himself sabotages himself. He himself tells himself, no, I can't. I'm telling you, one time I was in a shul and my heart got wrenched. I was sitting and learning, and it was after prayers, and most people went home. And this one guy came with his son. I guess he was doing some homework with him, Jewish studies, whatever, Gemara. And the kid was like 10 years old, 11 years old. And he's sitting down with his son and he's trying to teach him the thing. Obviously the kid was having a hard time. And the kid said to his father, he's like, Dad, you know I'm never going to get it. I'm just not, I don't have the abilities. I'm just not that. And I heard that, I'm like, I just feel so bad. We never know what the capabilities of a person is. Maybe someone just didn't bring it out the right way. He didn't connect with the right teacher. No one knew how to teach him the right way. But because of that past, the kid comes to the conclusion that that's the way I am. I'm fixed. I'm done. I'm set in stone. And that's how my rest of my life is going to be. A person, that's suicide, because you're not living who you really are. You're not living to your potential. Rosh Hashanah is a time to wake up, not just to life, to wake up to who we really are. To start getting to know the true people we are. We're not a goof. We're not our limitations. We're not our habits. We're not our past. We're a chelek Eloah mima'al. We're a part of Hashem. And if a person looks in the mirror and says, I can't, it's as if he's saying to Hashem, you can't. Who would have the guts to say to Hashem, you can't fix me. You can't do, I'm so toast that even you can't? Maybe I can't, but he could do everything. And when you realize that you are him, you could also do everything. So Be'ezrat Hashem, we should take this opportunity to wake up to the true selves that we are. We're powerhouses. We're people with an amazing engine that could climb any mountain, but we look at ourselves and we think we're a little smart car that can't move. Change the glasses, see what we really are, and that will get us to the highest of levels. Thank you very much.
Would you say Yetzer Hara gets you to the fullest potential in life?
Excuse me?